Hello, and welcome to Sunspiration. Today is Sunday, and I'm Victor Tarfa, and I bring you Sunspiration. And I was super excited when people say to me, "Oh, Victor, I watch your Sunspiration and I've been blessed." And even last week, someone who said it again really blew my heart. And it gets me so excited every Sunday when I bring you a brand new episode. This month of February, I've been looking at this topic, love, because February is a month that has Valentine's Day in it. So I felt it'd be great to talk about love in the month of February. Today, I carry on along those lines. And last week, I spoke about loving yourself. But I took out the Bible verse that said, love your neighbor as yourself. When Jesus asked what is the top commandment in the Bible, he said, love the Lord your God. And the second one was, love your neighbor as yourself. So before you love your neighbor, that means you need to love yourself. And that's why last week I dwelt on the topic of yourself. Today, I'm looking at your neighbor. Jesus asked the question again, who is your neighbor? And that's when he told the story of this good Samaritan. And that's a very famous statement we use every single time. When we see someone do something great, we always say, hey, he's a good Samaritan. But really, what's a good Samaritan? What happened in the story is a man was beaten and was left by the side of the road by robbers. And then different people from his tribe, people from his religion, all just walked past him. But someone who did not even know him and had no connections to him stopped by, wiped his wounds, took him to hospital, and even paid for his bills. That was a massive difference that he made. So when we say our neighbor, we're referring to somebody which you can help, that you know that person can never ever pay you back that help. You might never even see them again, or maybe they can really not even afford to pay you back the help. Maybe they could in the future, but the reason why you helped them was not because you wanted something back from them. 2 weeks ago I spoke about giving, and I mentioned how the power of giving and showing love through giving. And so that man gave to the man that was beaten, even though he did not even know him. And that was true giving. He helped him from his heart. So today, as I dwell on your neighbor, you might be thinking, oh, the guy that lives next door to me. Yes, possibly. But the first thing I'm going to say is, you cannot love your neighbor if you don't love yourself. So that means you cannot love others if you don't love yourself. And that's why I dwelled on the topic of yourself last week. Secondly, there is no fence. You can't say, oh, well, like I love him partially or I hate him partially. You have to pick a side. You have to pick a side. You can either love someone or you can hate the person. Because the whole truth is, whatever you feel in your heart when you see that person or you speak to that person, that is how you feel towards the person. So this is a time for us to do a check within us. How do we feel about certain people? When the phone rings, what are we thinking? Yes, there are people in which we need to avoid because they are toxic to us. That's totally understandable. But as they say, you can still love them, but you can love them from a distance. And thirdly, the good thing about loving your neighbor is you're actually doing it for yourself. Because it's so much easier when you love your neighbor. I remember when we were moving into this property here, the first thing we prayed about was for God to give us good neighbors. And the interesting thing is, the neighbors we had on both sides of us, they all moved out and new people have actually moved in and they are all still good neighbors. I knew the importance of having good neighbors. And that's why I don't want my life being so difficult, trying to love someone that is really daily trying to wind you up. We are humans at the end of the day. People will wind us up. We will get angry. I remember a story of a man who told me he could not build an extension on his property because if he was going to put a scaffolding up, one of the legs of the scaffolding has to go into his neighbor's garden to balance it up properly for health and safety reasons. But the neighbor will not allow him put just one leg of the scaffolding in his garden. And because of that, he could not build an extension on his house. He had the money to do it, he had the contractors ready, but just because they couldn't get that scaffolding up. You can feel how painful that is. He couldn't live in a bigger house because his neighbor will not agree for him to put the scaffolding up with one leg in. You might be thinking that is really wicked. But sometimes there's so much more to a story, and that shows the importance of just having good neighbors, of treating people around you with respect and with love. Because even in your heart, you will feel so much different. You know, there's a statement I love making. It's not about me, but it is for me. There are things you have to do, like love. It might not really be about you, but you're doing it for yourself. I feel it's so much easier to live a life of love than to live a life of hate. When you live a life of love, you're just happy, you see people, you want to be around them. You see them, you don't care. But when you live a life of hate, you see people, your heart hardens, you're trying to hide away from them. It's a harder life to live. We've all been called to this world for a purpose, to serve people in this world. Get selfish. It's okay. Be selfish on that. Love yourself. And for the sake of loving yourself, love others. It makes your own life so much easier. It's not about you, but it is for you. Do it at least for yourself. So I want to encourage you. This is time for us to just stop, think. Every day we go out there, every day we see people, are we smiling and saying hello? How do we feel towards certain people when we see their posts maybe on social media, or we come across their picture somewhere, or somebody even mentions their name? What goes through our heart? Just think about that. Just do a search and just have a feeling how you feel towards other people. Free yourself. Set yourself free. Just love on people. And you'll be amazed at how much difference and how much joy it brings to your heart. Do it for yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. Stay blessed. Love you all.